Everybody, Sharon here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome back to another episode of Sharon's Home and Garden. It is a hot, steamy day here in southeastern Wisconsin, Zone 5, and we are going to do an old-fashioned garden tour and a little bit of harvesting. Since I'm standing here in the raised bed garden, I thought I would start here. This is my yarrow, and it's so beautiful. All the different colors, and I noticed that it doesn't show up as pretty on the screen as it does here in real life, but it's just so lovely. We've got like an ivory and the pink, and then the dark purple and the white, all mixed in together. Beautiful. This elecampane behind me is just taking over. So I think I'm gonna have to split these up for next year. I'll have to plant them someplace else because they're really taking over this garden. Down below the elecampane is my melons. These are cantaloupes, and this actually looks pretty good. It's perked up a little bit since last weekend when I tried to fix it by adding more nutrients to the soil. I put a bunch of compost down, and it looks really good. We got a couple of nice, real good soaking rains, and that has helped a lot. So these are looking really good. Here in my herb bed, everything is really starting to take off. Oregano is starting to flower, so I should probably cut it back. I have a bunch of different kinds of basil in here, different varieties. Now, if the tomatoes would just hurry up, we could make a caprese salad. This blooming flower here is cilantro that has gone to flower, and I'm just going to let it go because it's got a pretty little flower on it, and you can always use more flowers in the garden. And then flowering down here is the chamomile. It's got beautiful flowers on it. And this here is fennel. Not the kind that forms the bulbs, but the kind that you can use the fronds for. So herb bed is looking really good. Oh, here's flat leaf parsley and curly leaf parsley. Curly leaf parsley is some of my favorite parsley. This bed here has my fennel. You can see this is bulbing up quite nicely. And next to my fennel is kohlrabi. We're getting a nice bulb on that. And then next to my kohlrabi is celery. Now look at this. This is going to have to be pulled out. I don't know what happened here. Supposed to look like this, and it looks like this, so we'll have to pull that one out. And then right next to it, these leaves look like ground cherries, and I don't know how ground cherries would have gotten in here, so I'm either gonna have to pull them out or let them go. Over here in my raised beds, this is tarragon. I'm gonna have to split this year because it's just getting too big, and I pull it like around the perimeter. I pull because it likes to grow, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, so I'm gonna have to split it this year. Below that in here are pumpkins, and these are really climbing all over the place. This is sage, beautiful plant this year. Over here in this corner, I've got butternut squashes, and they're really starting to climb. I'm going to have to start taking them, and I want them to grow in a circle. So I have to pick up the ends, which are like right here, and that one's way over in the watermelons, and I'm going to have to start bringing them around. So I think these watermelons look better than they did a week ago. A couple good rainstorms and some nutrients, and they look pretty good. Right next to them is dill. I wish you could smell this. The whole garden smells like dill. Absolutely love growing dill in my garden. And more yarrow. So pretty. The flowers are really starting to pop up here. Zinnias are just about ready to bloom. And the marigolds look really nice. Over here I've got a couple more watermelons. They both look a lot better than they did a week ago. And then here's the watermelons that I put in the pots last weekend. I swear they've doubled in size. There's those two. And then these two over here, they are really doing good since I potted them up. This plant is a cantaloupe plant, and it was looking pretty sad for a while, and then it looked better, and now it's looking sad again. So I have a feeling it needs more water. So we'll give that a good drink. Flowers. And then here, these are plum tomato plants. You can see all my tomatoes are setting fruit. Got a couple onions in there. These are 2 cantaloupe plants. I had some bok choy around the outside of these. And I pulled all the bok choy because it was bolting. And now I've got just the cantaloupe plants in there, and they're doing better without that bok choy in there. I have little sunflowers everywhere. It's like all I do. I don't think the birds ate any of the sunflowers and the sunflower seeds. I think the chipmunks buried it all. So in these onions, you can see here, I need to start thinning them out. Although, if any of you watch Charles Dowding, he lets them grow in clusters. And I'm half tempted to try that. These are dwarf sugar snap peas. They have all set pea pods on them, and they have proceeded to fall over. They didn't climb up this trellis at all. So we're going to have a pea harvest as soon as I get done with this video tour. In this bed, this is my raised covered bed. I had a few onions that I had put in here. I don't know what else I'm going to put in here. Carrots, and you can see I need to do some weeding in there. They seem to be doing well. A volunteer tomato plant. I don't know, he just snuck up. This is a plant that's called flower sprouts. And they get like little, they're like, I don't know how to explain them. They're like open-faced Brussels sprouts. That's the only way I can explain them. Where they almost look like this. They're just a cluster of leaves. And I was reading up on them today because I don't know what to look for because I've never grown them before. And they have a really long, like 4.5 months cycle, so we're not going to be getting anything out of there for a while. On this side I've got some lettuce that's bolting. We'll have to pull that out of there. There's some romaine back in there. Let's see that. All that will have to be pulled because it's so hot. And then the kale is doing really well. I've had several harvests off this kale, and it's doing really well. You can tell the difference in the colors here. Hope you can see that. This is the blue curled Scotch kale. And this one, which one is this? This is called Starber kale here. Really nice plants. Over here in my pots, this is more cantaloupe, doing very well. Watermelon, doing very well. Got a lot of those cabbage moths around. But yeah, this is flowering a lot, starting to set fruit. See down here? And this is pumpkin here. It is really growing strong in this pot. The rhubarb here is pretty much, I'm done picking it for the year. I might pick a few more stalks, but nothing like a big pick. So I'm pretty much done picking that for the year. Zucchini. This is a bush zucchini here, and I noticed that it is just starting to get some female flowers in it. Male flowers usually come first. Don't know if you can see that in there. There is a zucchini in there at the end of this flower here. So we're finally starting to get some fruit. This zucchini is called Spineless Perfection. There are no prickers on it. This as well, again, all male flowers, no females yet. Male flowers always come first, and this one is getting its first zucchini, and this is called Green Machine. This gorgeous plant is my Jester squash. Now last year it was a very viney plant. This year it's very bushy. And I noticed that it has just started throwing out vines, so I clipped it up to the trellis so it could climb up the trellis. But it is just a gorgeous plant. I'm trying to keep it from taking over where my peppers are. And these are all the peppers down this row. So they're all doing very well. We had a couple of cool nights this past week. Peppers do not like to set their flowers when it's hot. And so if it's really, really hot, a lot of times you'll find that their flowers will fall off your peppers. So earlier in the week we had some really cool nights, and all of them flowered after those cool nights. And on all my peppers, I did one plant where I topped it off and one plant where I left it. And on some of them you can really tell the difference, and some other ones, like these little I think these are habaneras, you really can't tell the difference. Let me go in here. So this group here, this one was not topped off. This one was. You can see it looks like there's twice as many branches in here as there is in here. This one has fruit in it, and this one is just starting to get some fruit. So the ones that you topped off are way behind the other ones. Again, these are called Glow. I can't remember if Glow is orange or Aura is orange. I think Glow is orange. No, Glow is yellow. Anyway, there's a lot of fruit on that one. This one has some pretty good sized fruit already. This is Aura. And again here, you can't really tell the difference between the topped off one and the non-topped off one. So most of the peppers now either have flowers or fruit. These are banana peppers. Next to the peppers here is the potatoes. Now my blue potatoes, which are these, flowered and then they're done. They're done flowering. So they will start turning yellow and dying back now. These are white potatoes here, called Kennebec White, and they have not flowered yet. Next to the potatoes are my green beans or snap beans. These are ones that I planted directly, sowed the seeds directly middle of May, and these are ones that I started in my greenhouse in March, like the third week of March. And as you can see, we've got some nice beans on them already. These beans in here are a tricolor bean. You have purple beans, green beans, and a yellow bean. And not all of them germinated early. They did not like being sown in the cold. So you can see all the flowers on them. A lot of flowers. Even these nice flowers. But the purple ones really are way ahead of the other ones. So in front of the potatoes, I have this cotton plant, or plants. It seems to be growing pretty well. It's loving this hot weather, I can tell you that. And right next to that is a pot of cosmos, because I didn't have any place else to put them. We go around here next to the peppers. I have sugar snap peas. They are growing quite tall. They're probably 6 feet tall, I'm guessing. And I'm gonna go through and have a really nice harvest. I don't remember planting purple ones though. So it seems like these are a mix. That's what happens when you just throw seeds in a pot and start them. Over here on this trellis is climbing beans. I've got two different varieties. I've got a regular, like a snap bean, and then I've got a yard-long bean. Now, I don't see any evidence of flowering, but they finally have started to climb. So that's good, because in the beginning, they did not want to climb. Here's some flowers in there. So that's good. And this is the jester squash here. You can see in there. Beautiful flowers. Squash always have the loveliest flowers. I don't know what it is. On the other side of the trellis are cucumbers. I've got two different kinds here, and you can see they are starting to set their fruit. These are both hybrids, Corinto and Piccolino. And then these ones with the little tiny leaves on them. Look at these cute little plants. These are the cucamelons. This beautiful plant here is the morning glory, and it has completely gone up to the top of this trellis. It's a beautiful plant. More cucumbers here. More morning glories. And more cucumbers. And a lot of these, I'll show you the other side of these. And then right here on the end, I have a sun gold cherry tomato. So it is getting quite a few tomatoes on it. This will be the first ripe tomato in the garden. If we go around to the other side, you can see these. What are these? These are called Iznik, I-Z-N-I-K, cuke. These look like the little, what do they call them, Persian cucumbers that you get in the store nowadays. Or baby cucumbers, some people call them. That's what these will look like. Right next to it is a variety called Summer Dance. And this will be more like a straight 8 type cucumber. And these ones over here, this plant here is a Japanese long cucumber. Here's one of the fruit. See that there? They're really good eating cucumber. My tomatoes are all doing really well. Like I mentioned before, most of them have fruit on them. I'm going to put my hand up so you can see how big that is. It's getting there. This one is called Damsel. And then if you look at the sun gold over here, you can see more of their trellis. They put off, I'm sorry, not trellis, trusses. They put up these trusses of tomatoes. But yeah, they're all flowering. So I'm going to go through and put a calcium down on them. And they are, this weekend they are all getting, all the plants are getting a fish fertilizer, liquid fertilizer feed. And then with the calcium will help with blossom end rot in the early stages of their growth. The tomatoes and cucumbers will get that. And everything else just gets a general fish fertilizer for some quick hits of nutrients, because they are growing so fast right now because of the heat, and we're getting some thunderstorms. I just want to keep up with the fertilizer. Right next to the tomatoes are ground cherries. These are pretty loaded down with fruit. So we had another anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks before we get ripe fruit from them. But they seem to be happy growing in a pot. I don't see any signs of stress on them at all. And then my cabbages, you can see they're taking damage. If I would do this again, I would put some kind of insect mesh over the top of these. But I had already spent my money for my garden, so I didn't have any more money left to buy anything. And you can see the caterpillars are getting, look at this leaf here. You can see the caterpillars are getting them, but I can never find the darn caterpillars. I see the moths everywhere though. But otherwise, they seem to be happy. My flowering bushes are in full bloom. And then that towering behind the bushes is my lovage. And I either need to cut that back or let it go completely to seed. Yeah, these are pretty purple flowers. I think they're just lovely. Next to that is lettuce. I've already taken 2 cuttings of this lettuce. This will be the 3rd. And some of these are showing signs that they want to bolt. But I think they're going to be, I'll cut them off and that'll give them a little relief in this heat. And I've got these are regular perennials with this bunny grass thrown in. I didn't think this bunny grass would get that big. My bachelor buttons over here are starting to flower. Calendula is starting to flower. This is Rudbeckia, and you can see they are really getting ready to put on buds. This is lemon verbena. It smells heavenly. This plant here is called Nigella Persian Jewels, and it's just about to start putting on flower heads. And I noticed I have a volunteer tomato in there. I'm gonna have to pull that out. I'll pull it out and put it in a pot. More pops of color in the garden. These are just neon pink. So beautiful. I know the sight of this makes some of you want to run screaming into the woods, but this is my mint. And I just absolutely love it. Don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do something, because if it makes you happy, then it's worth doing it. You listen to that Robin, he'll tell you then. So I just have this little raised bed here with a bunch of shade-loving plants, mostly impatiens, New Guinea impatiens, and some pansies that are still sticking around. A few little snapdragons that have reflowered. Just another little pop of color in the yard. And then next to it is my bay laurel tree, and this tree completely died off. And I chopped it way back, and now it is sprouting again. I thought, oh well, I'll just set it outside and see what it does. And it is reflowering, so I'm gonna have to cut off that main stem and let it grow anew. So here we have my harvest for today. I've got these beautiful beans, just enough for me to make my bacon, bean, and onion dish. I also gave some of these to my girlfriend along with the sugar snap peas. Some of these are a little past where I would like them, but they will still be delicious. Also gave some of those to my girlfriend. Lettuce harvest. This is a colander here. Beautiful lettuce, some romaine, and just some mixed greens. And then kale harvest. Now I'll be able to, I've already had given kale and lettuce to a couple of girlfriends. So some of this will be for me and some of this will be for people at work. So they'll get to benefit from that as well. So that's going to be it for today. I'm sweating up a storm. I think I'm going to call my girlfriend and we are going to go swimming this afternoon. So thank you so much for joining me in the garden today. And until next time, happy gardening everybody. Bye-bye.